It's Mindset Monday, it's Mindset Monday. It's the time of the day that we get our mindset right. How are you, good vibers? So, I wanted to start off by saying that I've been thinking a lot about this idea of control and surrender and the two sides of our mind and how they are combined. I guess you could see control as the ridges in the brain and the surrender like the dips in the brain. And together they create this harmony that makes life easy for us to know where to go and how to flow and all of that good stuff. So I really wanted to just take a moment to, connect with you, beautiful soul, and also talk about this because it's been on my mind, and I decided, this is something that I think has been affecting my mindset for a little while now. And what do I mean by that? Well, your girl Esther Joy seems to overthink sometimes, and when I do, I want to control my thoughts, is really what the overthinking comes down to. It's not about just letting go of the moment or allowing the thoughts to come through, which is what we learn in meditation to do, but it's more like I find myself thinking about the things I can't really control and trying to control them in some way. So that's that, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's just hop into it. By the end of this video, hopefully we'll have our mind set on understanding the purpose of control in the mind and when to surrender, knowing when to surrender. So this has been something I realized just recently that I struggled with. I struggle with knowing when to surrender and when to take control of my mind. And what does this mean? Well, if a bad thought comes in my mind, generally speaking, I can let it go. But sometimes certain thoughts come in my mind which will be a little low and drag me down, but they'll catch my attention. And maybe it's something tied with fear. Okay? And because it's tied with fear, my response is that I need to somehow control it to feel safe. And because of this, I end up just thinking on it really a lot more than I should. And my energy is now directed towards this unpleasant thought that is causing fear, that is causing me to cling on more tightly to the energy surrounding it, because I want to control it in some way. And because of this, it ends up leaving a not so good impression on my mind, that the more I try to control it, the more the fear is actually controlling me, and I can't let it go. So that's the tea in terms of today's Mindset Monday and what your girl Esther Joy has come to reflect on her own mind. And to set the record straight, I felt kind of like, for a while, it was something that was going right over my head. And I wasn't really sure why I couldn't let certain things go, why I found myself overthinking to the state of panic with certain ideas in my mind. That again, it was just so troubling to me. I just kept thinking about them, and I wanted to control the situation. So I thought, well, I have to think about how I'm going to solve this problem. And so I started really focusing on the problem and not giving much room for, space for a solution to be found. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. There's a space for control in your mind. I think that goes in the realm of discernment and discipline, having control over certain thoughts, and if you spend any time, energy, or attention on them. But I want to just say that you can't control everything that pops up in your mind. It's going to pop up in your mind, and it's there. What are you going to do? It's there. The more you're like, you shouldn't be here, the more you engage in a conversation with that kind of energy, and the more you instill and root that kind of energy within you. So allowing yourself to tap more into surrender, I think, helps a lot. I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to myself because this is something that I realize is so important in my own mind and something I felt very uncomfy doing for a while. I felt like, well, if I surrender my mind, then I'm not really using it to its full potential, not using it to solve the problem that seems so prominent in my mind that I'm freaking out about. But what I have learned, and I'm sure you know as well, that surrendering is so important to allowing your mind to actually run smoothly. You have the answers already deep within your subconscious. All you have to do is give space for those answers to emerge and bubble up to the top. But if you try to control, how the ideas come, when they come through, what kind of thoughts, all of this is going to be in your own way. You're not going to have the attention to focus on what you want to control in your mind and what is naturally rising up to serve you. So, Mindset Monday, my friend. Mindset Monday. This has been something I really am I had been struggling with and am learning from currently how to surrender. So what does that look like? What does surrendering look like in the mind when you are giving up this resistance and this control that you feel like you need for your own safety? Well, we know that surrender, it might look like a form of weakness, but that is the ultimate form of safety. When you are surrendering, generally speaking, it's because you feel safe to do so. You feel like you are going to be okay if you surrender and really be okay, even if you don't feel that way. And so I'm learning how to surrender more in my day-to-day life, to kind of look at the thoughts, and even if I'm thinking, man, I really didn't want to have a negative thought like that, and I've been working really hard to kind of, clear my mind of those kind of dialogues, but if it pops up, instead of trying to control that situation within the mind and say, hey, that I don't want this thought, why are you here? Instead, it's taking a breath and surrendering to it and say, okay, well, that's there, and let's move on. And so there's such a beauty. Both of these energies, I think they have their place. It's very important to surrender when you're faced with situations in life. When you find yourself being anxious about future or past things, you can surrender that energy. You can let it go. The more you can kind of allow yourself to be like, yeah, that happened in the past, I can let it go. Or, that's a possibility for the future, I can let it go. The more you'll find it easier to just have a clear mind, because you're no longer in between different timelines of past or future, but you're more present. And you'll find that you have everything that you need in that present timeline, and that there is no need for you to control anything for any particular outcome. Usually the moment we start putting in control, it's because we are looking for some kind of result and have expectations. And you already know how expectations are, my friend. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. So allowing this sense of surrender to wash over our minds so that we can better stay still and in whatever we're thinking, however we're feeling, whatever really comes to mind, we can see it and we can use it. Again, I feel like this is like the brakes and gas within the mind. The brakes being that sense of control, that sense of stop right here. And the gas being the surrender, that sense of going with the flow and just allowing, life to roll. So, with that being said, Jedi, no. Well, Jedi seems to want to control a certain situation. No more, please, Jedi. You gotta go out. No. I know he's just barking at the neighbors. I don't know what he's trying to do, but just like Jedi, when he barks at the neighbors, trying to get their attention, sometimes that's my mind when I see something that I don't particularly feel comfy having in there. And I'm just like, whoa, what are you doing here? Like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. Ah. And it just spirals. And I realize from many people telling me and my own being observing that when I surrender, when those thoughts come up and I just acknowledge it and I surrender and allow it to be, I just feel so much more in control. As weird as it is, it's like, well, yeah, this happens, but it's okay. And so I feel like I've risen above it. Like I've reached that observer level when I surrender and allow what is going to play out the way it's supposed to be. He's using the force bark. He really is. He's up, and now he's chilling. But yeah, so we got to use this mind and really learn how to use both controlling and forcing to our advantage as much as surrendering and letting go. So seeing this as maybe like a test in your own mind, like when you see something and it brings to your attention, do you bark at it? Do you say, hey, I don't want you here, control the situation, try to make something out of it that maybe isn't necessary? When do you do that? When do you feel like, because again, both forces have a purpose and they have a way that they can be used to optimize your mind. So when is it that you feel like you need to take control of the situation? For me, I would say when I'm faced with habits and tendencies, behaviors that are kind of automatic, like addictive behaviors. I will use porn for an example because, the porn reprogramming mini courses literally this week, so that's been something that we're exploring. And sometimes I feel like when I want to control how I go about, like when naturally my body's like, hey, it's time, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, no. And the more I put control on that and I'm like, you can't do this, guess what? My mind is literally, it's like trying to control me, saying I can't do these things. But then I end up doing them because that control had me seated and rooted in this idea, in this mindset, in these thoughts. And that's really all that you can think of when you try to control. It's just like telling a kid, hey, don't do this. What is a kid gonna do? They're going to do it. They did not hear the don't. They just heard do this. Okay, so there's that aspect of control. So how can we use that? Well, surrendering a lot of the times does help. When you find yourself saying don't do that, even though, yes, we use control to help with discipline, knowing how to use surrender, letting go when it comes to more addictive tendencies that are really looping you with that feedback mechanism is really important so that you can surrender. And then when you want to control is really about what is your physical body doing. That's when you want to be aware, hey, what is my body actually doing? And I think focusing on controlling the sensations that you feel directly connected to your body will have a better outcome than trying to control the thoughts in your head. And you can kind of surrender with that and focus more on the feelings that you are presently experiencing and how you can better control them, so that they're helping. You can surrender those thoughts and see how you can tap more into that. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Just sharing what I hope will work for me and you. So we're learning out here. Surrendering is definitely something I find myself needing to do more of within the mind. A lot of the thoughts that I have resistance to, or the situations that I can't really change in life, realizing that it is how it is for a reason, and I can surrender. I'm safe to let go, and my mind knows what to do, my being knows what to do, all is well. So again, I just hope that this video, this live stream, will help you as you get your mindset right for the week, as you explore how to, hold on and let go of what is within the mind and really play with it this week. I challenge you to go throughout the week, and when those instances of resistance pop up, how do you balance them? What does that look like? How do you utilize these two polarities within your own mind to optimize it, to make it a better place for you to be? All right, without further ado, before Jedi starts barking again, thank you so much for joining today's Mindset Monday video. I hope to see you in the next one. God bless and namaste.